And welcome to the We Like Sports Show. I'm your host, Ed in Columbus, with my co-host, Casey. What's going on, my guy?
No, nothing much. Guardians are reeling us back in. But other than that, nothing too crazy is happening down here. I know Ed's feeling some pain up in Columbus, but other than that, how you doing?
I am. Everybody out there, send prayers my way. I'm a diva. Love me some me, but my back is hurting. I got 3 bulging discs in my back, and they're killing. But you know what? That's not going to stop me on a Labor Day, the unofficial end of summer, because we're part of the Let's Talk Sports Network, part of Sideline Sports Network. And you know what? Let's get the housekeeping done with here, because you know what, Casey? We got you right now. We got the gun. So We Like Sports. We've teamed up with Titan Nutrition. Head on over to titannutrition.net. /We Like Sports, get 10% off your order and get the guns that Casey has right there. So you want to
there you go.
Look at that.
10%.
100%. Unlike Johnny, 0%. He's at 100. Also, don't forget to check out the Snooze You Lose podcast with Uncle Joe the Black Bookie. He has you set for your Sunday Snooze You Lose, your pick of the week. So you want to check that out as well.
Football season starting, so I'm sure he'll have a good hot one going this weekend. Start football
that's
season
absolutely
off with.
Correct. He doesn't ever let us down. But also, Casey, if you check out my lid right here, we also have a new partner at Official League. You want to check out their lids over there, because this had the Renham Truckers. I looked it up. It's part of a team of sandlot ball teams in Cleveland during the 1970s. And these guys right here won the 1970 championship right there. So they got a line. They teamed up with the Cleveland Baseball Museum. So they're doing great things. So head on over, I should say, to at Official League and get your lid, get your caps, get whatever the kids call them these days. You know, I'm trying to stay hip, trying to stay cool. So you want to check that out. So
don't need to try. It's just natural for you. You don't got to try.
Oh, well, you know what? As I get older, it's I'm getting more of a dinosaur with technology, but also with the lingo and everything like that. So, but it's okay. It's all right. I try to listen to the rap music as my son listens to, and try to stay hip and try to stay fresh that way. Drake, when are you going to drop your album too? By the way, shout out to Drake, because
Champagne Poppy.
Yeah, we gotta get going on that. But I don't know if I know my back's hurting. I know you're in Orlando. I'm in Columbus. It's a Labor Day, but do you hear that, Casey? Do you hear that? I do hear that. Guess what? It's time for breaking news. That's right. This is Ed in Columbus with you. We like sports. Breaking news. Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes kicked off their season with a 23-3 victory over Indiana. It was Day's 46th at Ohio State and his first without a quarterback. Major League Baseball enters the final month, and someone has got to win the American League Central Division. Why? So they can abruptly get their butt kicked in the first round.
But not by the Yankees.
Yes. And finally, week 1 in the NFL is here with the Bengals at the Browns. The Battle of Ohio. But if the Bengals win, ask a Clevelander who dey, and they will tell you their airport is in Kentucky. This is Ed in Columbus with you. We like sports. Breaking news.
Do you think Ryan Day is the answer at Ohio State?
I think he's a really good coach. I think that this is the biggest year, obviously, in the Day tenure. You can't go 0-3 against Michigan. But I think besides that, the fact that the quarterback
situation, second highest winning percentage in that amount of games. I mean, so.
Yeah, out of 50, at 46 and out of 51. Yep. So, but I don't know. I say let it play out. And also one thing, watching the 2 quarterbacks play, and Devin Brown didn't play much, obviously, but let Kyle McCord just play. Let him throw the ball. Just see what you got to see what you got, especially before you go to Notre Dame. And that game especially scares me, especially with the Irish having a quarterback. So, I mean, what are your thoughts about college football? I mean, we had another thing too. LSU laying an egg against Florida State. I know Brian Kelly thought he was going to win that game, and it didn't
I think up. I mean, the thing that everyone talks about is Colorado, man. We talked about it last week. We said, what do you expect, Colorado? I think five wins may have been like the best case scenario. I think you might have said, or Keith might have said, or someone might have said that, but no one thought that they were going to go into TCU, look that good, and Deion's son's not going to look as good as he did either. Like, that's crazy to think about. Now, granted, you lose not a half team, but a solid part of the team of TCU, right? Going from not as much as Colorado has changed, obviously, with 86 players. But are they the same team that was runner-up last year? Are they the same team? I mean, they started the season 17th. I'm not discrediting the win at all because, I
Right.
mean, no one thought 21 points was the spread. I mean, no one thought that was going to happen. Dion knew it. He said he'd do it. But and a lot of people, don't like the persona, I guess, he carries along with them, either hate him or love him, I feel like. But I think it was pretty impressive that they were able to do what they did against a team that is ranked. You like I said, they lost some players, but still they're 17th in the country going into that game. So that's interesting. Do you think that they're gonna make some noise? I mean, because are they playing USC coming up?
Yeah, I know. I think they open up at home against, I think, Nebraska this week
Yeah,
yeah, they'll eventually. You know what I liked about them? Obviously, I like that Hunter kid, the guy, the two-way player, that kid that
correct. Which is
intercepted the
rare.
pass and got 119 yards. But here's what I liked about them. Obviously, a young team. Obviously, a team that has a lot of turnover. They're predicated on Coach Prime and what he talks, and says to them, obviously. But what I liked about them is they answered. TCU would come back, take the lead, and then Colorado would go back down the field and score again. And it's like, for a young team, for a head coach, obviously he's done it at Jackson State, but for him to go in, big time program, first game at like the national runner up, and it's the ability to answer was, to me, the most impressive thing. I mean, yeah, all the video game stats and everything. Okay, that's fine. I get that's college football. That's
College
actually,
football. Yeah.
that's college football. It doesn't really matter, whether it be Georgia versus Ohio State or two 1AA teams. It just seems like that's just the way of college football. You're going to have these inflated stats, but it's the ability to answer, especially late in the fourth quarter, like they did under 5 minutes to go. And his son playing quarterback, that was impressive. I mean, that's just. And got some good genes there. I get that, but to get that team down there, so that to me, that was the most impressive thing. The way that they answered TCU, and they looked like a competent, quality football team, and one that isn't just fresh and brand new. It kind of looks like they've done it before, and we'll see. I mean, they've got one game this year that matches their record last year, so they're on their way, right?
I mean, so like I said, though, if I had to ask you, right, out of the ranked teams that Colorado plays this year, remember TCU was 17th. How many teams do you think they're playing that have a better ranking than them right now? Rest of the season.
4, 5.
So it's just crazy. Oregon, they're playing Oregon September 23rd, ranked 15th right now. They're playing USC the following week, ranked 6th. Then they got some, Arizona State, Stanford, UCLA. Oregon State's 18th. They're playing them November 4th. Arizona, Washington State, and finish the season in Utah. Okay. Right? That is a tough schedule. And if you look at, I mean, around the college football realm, is there teams that have a harder, I mean, like coming from, like you said, how bad they were last year.
Right.
And you're playing all those ranked teams. I mean, it's you'll see, if they're for real going in. I would say right now, like I said, you're playing 1, 2, 3, 5 ranked teams. Shit, if you go 3 and 5.
Yep.
I mean, that's
well,
impressive.
The thing about it is, in college football, no team has a defense. If they can keep that offensive explosion and keep up the production that they have been, they'll be in games. They'll be fun. They'll be exciting. And then that's, basically in the year one of Coach Prime. I think that's what, as Colorado Buffalo fans and college football fans in general would want, to bring back the excitement back to Boulder. So, I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. But we got a special guest, Casey, and, I always like, and as us being Browns fans, we got a guy. They'll do it. We're gonna bring him on right now. Who Day Nation. Let's go. Let's bring him on. What is up, my guy? How's it going? Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day. Things are going well.
Yes. Well, speaking of because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Browns fan. So
yeah.
I guess first question to you obviously would be like, how well, and that question is, how well is Joe Burrow's health?
Well, that's the big question, and all the reports we're getting, and they're being really hush on it. They're really quiet on it, but he's practicing. He looks good. Zach Taylor does the typical day-to-day status, which you expect him to say. I would be surprised if he does not start on Sunday against Cleveland.
Okay. Well, and that's the thing, and as a Browns fan, I wouldn't want it any other way. in the NFL, wins are tough to come by, and you got to take any win as you can get. But, I would want the Browns to start the season out against Joe Burrow, especially, I see the Twitter talk, or the X talk as it's called now, but it's the 1-4 against Cleveland is Joe Burrow's record. And I know it. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying, he's 1-4 against Cleveland. Yep. So if you're a Browns fan, you want Burrow to start.
Actually, I really don't. As a Browns fan, he's really good, and I think a lot of that 1-4 is probably not. It's so indicative of Joe Burrow's going to be continued performance against the Browns. I think it's just one of those things that he just happened to be 1-4. But I think when it's all said and done, Joe Burrow's career record against the Browns is going to be a little better than 1-4, and that kind of scares me a little bit. But we'll see. The Browns with Deshaun Watson, he's coming back after playing 6 games last year. Hopefully the rust is off him. Like I always tell Del, and I hope maybe you prescribe to it too. The AFC North. Well, to me, the AFC Central, because I'm an old guy. The National Football League is better when the Browns and the Bengals are on top and the Steelers and Baltimore are on the bottom, going back to the Boomer and Bernie days of the late 80s.
Oh, man, there's a great memories there. I'm going to turn my light on here in the back. There's a great memories. We'll be in Cleveland for the game. Looking forward to it. And Cleveland's probably my least favorite stadium to go to, but it's okay as far as media boxes go. But it's okay. We'll have a good time up there.
Okay. Now, I've always found this to be true. Now, I took my son to his first NFL game in 2019. It was Andy Dalton's farewell game.
Yeah.
But I always found Bengals fans to be endearing. I've never had a problem with them. I've always felt that, it's kind of, maybe it's that whole Ohio thing. I know sometimes we make jokes and say, Cincinnati's in Kentucky, especially when Cleveland doesn't win. It's very convenient for us to say that. But I always found the jokes to be fun and humorous, and not so much vitriol like with the Steelers and the Ravens, obviously from the Browns perspective. So I also too, I feel like with the Bengals, we've had some tough luck when it comes to, obviously, AFC championship games. Obviously you guys have made 3 Super Bowls, which is something that the Browns hope to aspire to get to someday. But, when it comes down to if you look at the franchises and everything, it's kind of like, they're solid, but they're always, something just seems to like snipe them at the end, or whether it be that penalty in Kansas City, or and it's just, and as watching that, I kept thinking when that happened and Kansas City essentially kicked the field goal, I'm like, that is so Cleveland. That is so Cleveland of something like that to happen. And
that's a saying that happens a lot as a Cleveland fan, is that's just Cleveland. What's the explanation? It's Cleveland.
It's Cleveland. It's Cleveland.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because they've got that stigma that something's always going to happen, and it does. Cincinnati's had that for several years until the last few with Burrow. So I think it's now they're expecting to win, whereas in the past they expected to lose in dramatic fashion. The fans did. The fans are fickle. I'm not around the fans a whole lot because we're up in the press box, but they're out there, man. They're very loyal. And then when we go to Pittsburgh, you talk about fans. Pittsburgh fans are dedicated, loyal, spirited, intense. So I think they take on the personality of their coach, and Tomlin's an intense guy. Zach Brown's everybody loves Zach Brown. I mean, everybody loves Zach Taylor. Zach Brown
and Zach Brown band too.
Yeah. So, but everybody loves Zach Taylor. I mean, so they take on that personality, because when he wins ball games, he'll take the ball and he'll go into a local this local pub, and he'll hand out game balls to fans. So the fans love Zach Taylor, and they take on his personality.
Now, what I like, now I've done a little bit of homework on you, and I know that a lot of what you write and everything, which I definitely applaud, is faith-based and everything. But I always like, not to get too spiritual or anything like that, but I believe that sports is one of those things that where, it brings out team, it brings out community, it brings out all the good things that, a faith-based, proposition would try to oppose. But so what is the mind frame in Cincinnati? Because, during their last couple of years of their playoff runs, I love seeing a city get behind a team. I love, I remember, the Indians runs in the 90s. Being a sports fan, you wake up, going to work isn't so tough anymore because you got that one thing that's keeping you going and everything. And how great is that? And right now, is Cincinnati gearing up for another season of not just faith, but faith in their city, faith in their team, just all the good civics that as a good American that you would want to expound.
Well, yeah, and thanks for doing your homework. I do write a lot of faith-based books and articles, but when I cover the Bengals, I'm strictly covering the Bengals for the Portsmouth Times. So it's back to sports writing when I cover those games, and winning does remarkable things to a city. Just like Cleveland had that transformation when the Cavs win, or when the Indians or Guardians, whatever you want to call them, when they win, it brings a lot of the community together. So winning does a great thing for cities most of the time, Yes. So in some cases, like the Rams, when we were out there for the Super Bowl, those fans could have cared less that the Rams were playing or even won. They didn't care. They just wanted a reason to riot. So it wasn't that the Rams won. So I think that would have happened either way. But so when the Bengals, Andy Dalton, who were there for all those years, Andy was a good quarterback, good guy. They rallied around Andy, but in the end, they just, you had that feeling they'll find a way to lose. That was the mentality. And now it's, hey, the defense is going to make a play. Hey, McPherson is going to get in and kick a game winner. That's the mentality now.
Okay. Speaking of your defense for the Bengals, do you feel their secondary has kind of declined a little bit, or do you? What's the most concerning aspect of the Bengals defense that going into the season that has you most worried about success?
It has to be injuries to the secondary. Of course, Bates is gone, which they kind of expected that to happen, but and I always have trouble pronouncing Awuzi's name. So anyway, he's coming back from a torn ACL, and he's looking good. So he's a great corner. So when he's healthy, and then Cam Taylor-Britt, everybody's excited about this guy. They're saying this guy is unpredictably good. He can make a play whenever out of the blue. So and then Mike Hilton's is also very a good DB when he's healthy. So that's going to be, I don't know any weakness, but Dax Hill has had a great offseason and looking very good. And so they've got some talent there. They've got some really exciting talent that they're very hopeful with. Trey Hendrickson's going to be one of the best defensive pass rushers again. Logan Wilson was re-signed. Logan Wilson is one of those guys that every team wants to have as far as a linebacker goes. Gritty, makes plays, keeps his mouth shut, stays out of these problems. So he's they're really excited about the defense because last year, if you watch them or not, they always seem to make the play they needed at the right time, and they're anticipating that. And fans got to almost expect that. So they're real excited about it.
I've always, to me, NFL defenses, they're really, really dominant. Yeah. But the Bengals, to me, over I'd say the last 10 years, I always felt that, whether they had a dominating defense or not, they always got turnovers. That was one of their things. That they're one of the luckiest teams in getting turnovers. And and I always felt like as a Browns fan watching them, we have to pull teeth basically just to get off the field on every third down, where you guys would get that deflection, or I guess especially when you're playing Baltimore, and some of those games became lopsided because the turnover, it's just one after the other. I'm like, wow, how do you guys always continue to get those? And good for you. I think pressure gets to that, but I always feel like, and at this team, this Bengals, if they get the turnovers this year, especially with the offense, I'm definitely scared of what you got going. But my next question, obviously, is probably the second best or most is the offensive line. Is Joe Burrow going to be okay? And I'm obviously that's always the biggest question for.
Yeah, they made some really good, I think some good moves, and I'm trying to get my notes and I can't seem to find them right now. But Karras, Orlando Brown.
Yeah, Orlando Brown. Yep,
that's a big one. Everybody, that was kind of a shocker. But so he wants to leave, one great team and go to another great team. At left guard right now, I think is Cordell Volson is looking good. Ted Karras he's the leader of that line. I mean, he's a guy that people would love to have on anybody would like to have that guy. Alex Kappa as well. So I think, you got to keep Burrow on his feet, because even he had 50 some sacks last year, and he still was one play away from going back to the Super Bowl. And so you keep him on his feet, limit the sacks to maybe 30, and he's got probably the best, most exciting wide receiver group out there right now.
My question to you is because, young quarterbacks, and obviously Joe Burrow is not, he's young and age-wise still, but he's coming into his prime. This is definitely, in the next 5 years, this is, go time.
Yeah.
As watching him as much as you have,
yeah.
How is, from the first year to now, what has he gotten better at? Is it recognizing defenses? Because he's always been good. Watch him at I always knew the guy was going to be great, and it's but what is he better at now? Like, wow, it's night and day better, or it's just that little bit, 1 or 2 plays extra game that makes him in that elite. Now he's Super Bowl every single year. Like, what is it about him?
He worked in the offseason on getting rid of the ball quickly.
Okay.
So he's got 3-4 great receivers now. You won't see him hold the ball long. It's going to be 2 steps, throw, 2 steps, 3 steps, throw, because he has, with Higgins and Chase and Tyler Boyd and the new tight end.
Irv Smith, is that
Irv Smith? Yep. So he's going to have 4 or 5 legitimate threats. So you won't see him hold the ball. It's going to be he's going to work on. He worked on when he was not in a leg calf. Quick release, get it,
okay,
throw the ball.
That's
like Drew Brees.
Pound skin, that scares me.
I know it's got a lot of defensive teams are saying, oh my gosh, because when he had when he was even holding the ball longer, he still found these guys. Yeah. So I think it's going to be an exciting offense. Irv Smith is a great addition. Yeah. I was sad to see Hurst go, because Hurst fit right into that team, and he was a contagious excitement, what he brought to the team, and everybody loved that guy. So Irv Smith Jr. is a great pick.
Yeah, I one thing with the Bengals, I've always felt like no matter who you had at tight end, it felt like with your offense, you're going to make them become something. And so, yeah, I have no doubt that Zach Taylor will get the job done there. Obviously, you got a great kicker. Your special team seems pretty solid. So that's always, especially with these close games in the AFC playoffs. I'm just. How do you feel about your perspective on the Browns? Because I always like to get different. What is your take on the Browns? Because we obviously the Bengals are your expertise, and I got nothing bad to say about them, and it doesn't sound like you do either. So
no, and the Browns can be they can surprise anybody. I think right now they do have a lot of talent. Yep. I think their biggest obstacles is just that perception, that stigma of finding ways to lose. And I think they've gotten over the Mayfield thing. So I think Watson's been keeping his nose clean. So I think that's a good thing. And I think the fans will get behind him. So I think it's going to be getting over that hump. Getting off to a good start, I think, is going to be crucial for them, because if they get into that, the bad start, the fans are going to give up on them again. And they're going to have a here we go again season. So I think they got to get off to a good season. They've got the Bengals number. So we'll see that's not going to be a gimme up there. It's not going to be right now. It's the Browns could easily win this game, because they seem to have Cincinnati's number. And that's just, I think they're going to be unpredictable and not surprising if they get off to a good start.
Well, and I looked at the schedule with us in playing each other in week 1, and then the last week of the season, the Browns head down to Cincinnati, and I think that's always a fun. Like I said, I always love the rivalry between us two, because the birthplace of football is Ohio. You got the 2 pro teams in Ohio, Cincinnati and Cleveland. Yeah. It would be nice of one of us to win a Super Bowl. And watching that Rams Super Bowl against you guys, I will say one thing: you guys, it's so Cleveland fashion. You guys got robbed. I don't want to get, what I'm saying, but I don't want to rehash old things.
That phantom call against Wilson, and that wasn't a phantom call. That holding call just didn't. We looked at it like 39 times. It just didn't happen. It was not a holding call. and they gave the Rams like 17 tries to get in the end zone. So eventually they're going to get in. But yeah, that was one of the things you got to play through. And then the play last year in Kansas City was a dumb call, or was a dumb play. Yeah. But those things happen. So
what speaking of coach, because you see Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, and he wins despite his roster, but he's usually over 500. What has made Zach Taylor a good coach? Because he struggled. Is obviously you get Joe Burrow, and obviously what I'm saying. But what has made him? And I want to welcome Drew, one of our co-hosts on. So Drew, this is Dell. Me say hi. But what has made Zach a great coach in the NFL?
What we've observed, nothing against the other coaches, but the team rallies around him. And there is so much unity in that clubhouse that we didn't sense during the previous coaching staffs. There's nobody who thinks they're bigger and better than anyone. So there is team chemistry. They defend Zach. They take up for Zach. Because Zach always, all right, every game will make that. He'll go for a fourth down when he shouldn't. I mean, every game, and we're up there thinking, what's he doing? But the players have his back. He has their back. And I think that's the biggest thing as far as the players have a lot of confidence in him. And the players like him. And they want to play hard for him. And not they saying that they didn't, I guess, Marvin, but there was a lot of dissension in the locker room over those years there. And not the case the last couple of years. You just feel it, and you can't explain it. You just got to feel it. There's team chemistry and team unity in there.
Well, that, like I said, I think that makes all the difference, and that's the one thing with Kevin Stefanski up in Cleveland. I mean, I feel like you get these guys that they're great coordinators, but are they great leaders of men? I feel like sometimes a head coach, they don't have to be the best X's and O's per se, but you got to be able to manage the team, run the team, make sure everybody's happy. It's more than just calling plays, and I feel like some of these coaches, they get stuck in the Denny's menu, as we call it. You know what I'm saying? I don't see Zach Taylor doing that. That's why I kind of like him. He's a man's man, kind of. He looks like a good guy, and I'm kind of jealous. I mean, I remember the first couple of years, people were like, oh, this guy, I don't know if he's made out for the job, but he's definitely showed over the last couple of years that he's the right guy in Cincinnati. And another thing I love about Cincinnati coaches, like this, like I said, this is dating me, but when we had the Marty Schottenheimer, obviously, in Cincinnati, when you guys had what was
you get Sam Weiss.
Sam Weiss. I know Weiss slipping me. You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
Classic.
Classic. But the guy was charismatic. The guy was everything that was great for the rivalry. But he wasn't one of those guys either that was all in eggs. He was a leader of men. He was kind of what you guys got now, and it's kind of fun to see that in the rivalry.
Yes, Sam was a man. He was a lot like Tomlin, gritty. No nonsense kind of stuff. If somebody asked a dumb question in the press conference, he let them know it, just like Coach Tomlin does. I love being in the press conference room with Coach Tomlin, because I mean he kind of frightens some people, which is great. The people are scared to ask him a couple of questions, and I like that about him. He's always great to talk with, but Zach will talk to anybody who'll answer any question. But everybody likes the guy. And he wins ball games, and so that's a great combination. He doesn't come off arrogant. He doesn't come off as know-it-all. Takes the time to get to know people, and that's why the players like him. That's why the players play hard for him, because they like this guy.
So, I mean, I'll just go into it. If you had to right now, your predictions for the AFC North this year.
I did a column a couple weeks ago, and I've been right the last 2 or 3 years, which is kind of scary. I think you're going to see for the conference. You're going to see. I think the Bengals are going to win it. I think Pittsburgh will come in, and I think Cleveland, and then I think Baltimore will be at the bottom. And I don't know, just my gut. I think they got some talent, but they also have a lot of dissension in the locker room. I mean, Lamar Jackson's great talent. There's something there. I think he's kind of like a cancer of a team. He doesn't really lead. He just kind of plays, and that's my opinion. I don't want to make that clear. It's my opinion. So, and I've seen that the last several years, and the off season stuff and some of the headlines. But And Harbaugh's a great coach, but I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to struggle.
Okay.
And I think the Bengals. Kansas City fan says the Cincinnati fan says the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City, and Kansas City just recently said the Super Bowl is going to go through Cincinnati. So those two have a lot of respect for each other, and I love going to Kansas City. It's my favorite place to go as far as stadium.
I like the fun, just like the Browns and the Broncos had one. Obviously, it didn't go well, and the drive to fumble, and but it seems like Kansas City and Cincinnati are kind of getting that together, and they're going to have more battles when it comes to AFC Championship games in the not too distant future.
Well, just like the Browns, seem to have Burrow's number right now. The Bengals are 3-1 against Kansas City, and so could easily have been 4-0 as far as the Burrow Mahomes matchups go. But I think Kansas City, they take them pretty daggone serious, and great. Those are great games to watch. Those are two great quarterbacks.
I love your defensive coordinator down in Cincinnati. I love that guy. You know what I think I love about him is I don't, some of these defensive coordinators that especially we've had in Cleveland, like Joe Woods, and we finally got Jim Schwartz, a qualified guy that can handle the defense. But I like guys that are old school like that don't make it too complicated. No. It's just, it's kind of, I don't want to call it a vanilla defense, but it's not overly complicated. It's just your man wins. We put pressure and we do it, in a way that's, Yeah.
Well, yeah, and again, the players love him. The players have his back. You got, like I said, you got Trey Hendrickson on one end, Sam Hubbard on the other end. Those guys are like wrecking machines. You have DJ Reader, and then BJ Hill. Linebackers are going to be Jermaine Pratt, that's a guy who was offered a lot of money in the offseason for another team and said, "Why would I want to go to another team when we're going to we can go to the Super Bowl every year?" So that's a guy who's got it up here, and his heart is right. So that's what makes this team a little bit different than, Logan Wilson back there as well. So they're going to be. I haven't covered a team in this long that's been together as far as everybody's backs.
Well, I'm glad you said that about the money in him, because now my next question to you: do they get the deal done with Joe Burrow? Will he take a little bit of a discount to try to get, because obviously you got T. Higgins will need to get paid as well. So
Higgins and they both have said we want to stay here in Cincinnati. Okay. And I think they're just trying to work out I think it's going to be a done deal. I think they're just going to try to work it out. I think Burrow's the type of guy who will say, "Hey, I don't need as much."
I would agree with that. I mean, obviously being from Athens and, what I'm saying? So he's got that Ohio connection there. So, and he's a good guy, as much as, I'm an Ohio State guy, and he went to LSU, and when he won the national championship, I was all for him. So I got no qualms with Joe Burrow.
Oh, every time we talk to him or ask him questions, it's no, sir, yes, sir. He's still humble, even though he's kind of flamboyant with his dress.
I love it. Now he is the Joe Namath,
exactly.
The new Joe Namath. Yes.
But he backs it up, and that's why people like him. He's not real arrogant, even though he dresses. But his talk, when he treats people, he is not arrogant, and he's down to earth. But he's one of those guys that can get away with it. He can wear it and get away with it. So that's going to run everybody off there. Hey, Drew, you're back.
Hey,
Drew, you got something for Dell here? I know.
No, I mean, you just touched on what I was going to ask about, was the contract situation. I mean, This is a team that's young. It's good. It's talented, and they're fun to watch. I mean, and then Ed beat me to the coaching, because I'm a Giants fan. I'm not. Yeah. I'm the only non-Cleveland sports fan probably on the show. But I think you guys are like a few years ahead of where I hope we're going to be.
Yeah.
Because we have Wink Martindale now, who he's a player's coach. Everybody he's loved around the league.
Yeah, he is.
His players love him. Daboll is very much like Zach Taylor, where they're like, hey, he's a player's coach. And you guys had the same situation with, the Giants had Parcells and Coughlin, who were tough on the media, but their players loved them.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me not to like the Bengals, because you guys remind me so much of the old teams that were easy to root for as a New York sports fan.
Yeah, you're right. And I think with the contracts situation with Higgins, with Burrow, I think they're just trying to finalized. I think it's going to be a done thing.
Yeah.
And I think if it's not, you'll see a revolt in Cincinnati from the fans. I think they'll do a march on the owner's house or something. Not endorsing that.
Right. So please do not.
But if Higgins has a big year, and thinks he could be a number one somewhere else as opposed to second chair to Jamar Chase, do you think he's the one to go as opposed? I mean, obviously they're not going to get rid of Burrow; they're going to pay him whatever it takes to keep him. But is Higgins the one that's kind of on the, if he plays good enough, he may be the one gone?
I still think they'll find a way. I mean, he's the number one on any team. I mean, they'd be standing next to him. He's a big dude, and his hands are huge. And he and Chase have their lockers right next to each other. They're buds. So I don't think there's anybody on the team that thinks they're the number one. I mean, you got Boyd, Higgins, Chase, all these guys.
I'm a Browns fan. Stop it. It's too good. It's too good.
Yep. And a workhorse running back who doesn't even need to be one.
No, and Mix is one of those guys too. He said, I'll take less money. And he has some off-field stuff, but I think that's behind him.
Yeah, that got cleared up recently.
And he loves that locker room. So,
he could carry the ball 30 times a game.
Oh, yeah, easily. So there's a lot of weapons there, and he's a good receiver.
He's out of the backfield. Absolutely.
So they've got a lot of weapons. It's got to keep Burrow on his feet. Dalton was a good quarterback, but he can't throw on his back all the time, So they got a good line, and he's going to, like I said earlier, he's worked on getting rid of the ball quicker, and you're going to see a 1, 2, 3 step throw from him.
Hey, Tina.
Hey, guys. And I like their receiving core better than when they had T.O. and Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco. I think the chemistry now is better than it was back in get your popcorn ready era.
Well, that was an era that was all about them, T.O. and great athlete, great cat, but they were all ego. And there's not one player who thinks they're above that. And when you talk to them after the game, they're always giving everybody else credit. And Higgins wants to be double teamed. Chase wants to be double teamed because he says, hey, that gets Tyler open. That gets T open. That gets other people open. So if you're a defensive coordinator and you got Higgins, Boyd, Chase, now Irv Smith, and Trenton Irwin there, who do you focus on?
Who do you cover?
I don't know. You better get to Joe Burrow. You better get to Joe Burrow quickly. That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
but like you said, if he's going to dump, then what do you do? Right. How fun is it? I don't know how your interactions, but Dave Lapham, is it funner to be around him these last couple of years with the runs that you guys have been going on?
Yeah, he's
one of the best.
He's good. He's fun, and he's a good guy. We get out of his way, but we chat with him at dinner and lunches and stuff. But he's a hoot. So he's always in a good mood.
Yeah, I mean, we have Jim Donovan up in Cleveland, and I always thought the Bengals had, they're always had good announcers and everything. Dave Lapham, they'd always played on the Dan Patrick Show the next day. The calls from because win or lose, you guys always had something going on, and his calls are the best. So.
He gets a little excited, but
he does.
He's in a separate booth from where we're at, so it's good.
That's probably safe for everybody. That's awesome. But I got a question for you out of that because everything seems to be going good in Cincinnati. Yeah. But just like in Cleveland, they're getting new stadiums in Tennessee. They're getting this. What is your stadium situation? I know there's been talk. I don't
know. I have no clue on that because we hear it both ways. We hear there's no way they're going to build a new one. We hear sure they will. To keep up, Tennessee and Buffalo. I mean, I love Tennessee Stadium. I love going down there. They have, they put us on like the second level, and it's great. I don't think they need a new stadium, but they're going to get a new stadium.
Yeah, they're going to dome. It's something.
Yeah, and then Buffalo's getting a new one. I love going to Buffalo. It's a great stadium.
Buffalo's great.
I know.
I mean, I'm from like a couple hours from Buffalo.
Yeah,
and that's one of the best places, period, to watch a football game.
It is, and. We were nice inside when that snow was coming down during the playoff game, which was great. But those fans are passionate, they're dedicated, and I thought the field was great. The stadium's great, but they're going to get a new one. So I think something else to put on the ballot. I don't know what will happen, but their first priority is get Burrow and Higgins inked.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And how much do you love the white uniforms of the Bengals, the all-white uniforms?
Hey, I like them on a Monday night. I think it's cool.
Okay.
And that's what they're going to do.
I love them. I personally love them. I think they're one of the best alternate uniforms in the NFL.
Yeah, they look good, and they're going to be I think they're going to have them on the Monday nighter against the Rams.
Okay. Yeah, I like I said, yeah.
Browns.
I know there was a lot of media battles on social media between the Bengals and Browns fans when we got our all white helmets, and then Cincinnati, their PR department on X put out a tweet, and it kind of inflamed things. So too, but you know what? I love that about sports franchises: the fun, the banter between them. That's what's fun. That's what sports are all about. That's why we like sports. That's why I'm talking to you, because I love to get the perspective of other fan bases, and it's fun. Like win, lose, or draw. September 10th in Cleveland. I hope it's a great game. I hope nobody gets injured. I hope that everybody gets the entertainment value, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, we'll be there. We're looking forward to it. Probably going to go up Saturday night and then head over there early. I think there'll be a big crowd first. Cleveland Stadium is pretty easy to get in and out of, but with first game, you never know. So I'm going to get there about 9 probably.
Okay. Well, I wanted definitely, because before I let you go, talk about your books. You're a best-selling author. You're a guy, but you know what I'm saying? I know you put out the Buckeye Believer 40 Days of Devotions for the Ohio State Faithful in 2017. You got some Dugout Devotion, Michigan Motivations. I don't know if I'm an Ohio State guy. I don't know about that one, but talk to us about that.
My agent played for Michigan. He played on a national championship team.
97?
Played with Brady, Played with Brady 1 year, and so I kind of had to write that one. He's my agent. He kind of made me write it. So
fair enough.
And then I did one about Kentucky basketball, and then we've done about Indiana basketball. And there's some motivational books, inspirational books, and you mentioned Dugout Devotions. That book's really did really well for me. It's close to 20,000 copies sold. For me, that's big. And
that's awesome.
And then following up, we're getting ready to launch a golf book next spring. And then my third NFL book will be out called Faith in Football. Just got the and what I do in these books is I actually talk to professional athletes. I talk to the players on every team who claims to have a faith, and I put their stories in inspirational, devotional story format. And so we've got 2 in baseball, 3 in football. We've got a golf book coming out. We're going to redo our Bengals book to add the Super Bowl run to it. So those are just fun. They're fun books.
I always love that. Like I said, I always feel faith is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And, anytime we can spread that, I don't think there's any problem with that. But I got a question. I didn't know if you knew. Yeah. I'm friends. Do you know Bruce Hooley?
Oh, it's familiar. Who is that?
Bruce Hooley. He was at ESPN Cleveland. He worked.
Yeah, I know who he is now.
He's big into faith and everything like that. So I figured that your circles you've read it before. But my wife and him, we're pretty good friends. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So
for the first time for the NFL book, gosh, I interviewed Kirk Cousins. I interviewed Dalton Roethlisberger, Ingram, all these guys, and then Dalton and Munoz and all these guys. Yeah, it's just fun stuff. And Coach Tomlin and Minka Fitzpatrick and the guy from the Brown. Well, it was Cade York, but he's gone now. And then so we've interviewed some guys from Cleveland.
Okay. Well,
That's
like
awesome.
I said, God bless you. Like I said, I always love those motivational. I think they're great. I think you can always pick up, no matter what your religion is or anything like that, you can always pick up something good from those kind of inspirational things. And God bless you, Del. Thanks for coming on. And
I appreciate it.
We're gonna have you on. We'll have on you again. We can get maybe into more specific about faith-based things and everything. Awesome. So love to do that.
That'd be sweet.
Go Browns. But go Bengals on your season.
Go Giants, baby. Big Blue.
Drew,
you guys can't even hate it because you're in the NFC. You guys don't have to care.
Fair enough.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Happy Labor Day, Del.
Have a good day.
Happy Labor Day.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Ed.
Yep. All right. What's up, Drew?
What's up, Ed?
All right. So we
got the smoker going back there.
Oh, wow.
Smoking up some pork. Got some wings in the house.
Oh, nice. Doing it up on the unofficial end of summer. I know it's sad, but you know what that means? That just means it's NFL season, college football season, and the best of what fall has to bring.
Hey, so. Syracuse won 65-0.
Who'd they play? Helen Keller?
Colgate.
Okay. They beat a toothpaste. They beat a toothpaste.
They did. Yeah. Very impressive win.
Well, hey, you know what? A win's a win. They didn't give up any points in a.
Hey, they covered the spread.
What was the spread? 40?
I think it was 29.
Oh, okay. Well, good for them.
This is the thing I hate about the beginning of college football is most of the games are BS. I mean, the LSU game, small spread, kind of fun to watch. But a lot of these teams are taking.
Well, it wasn't fun if you were Brian Kelly in LSU because, before the game, he said they're going to beat the heck out of Florida State. And, man, what happened? And then it's funny because afterwards, Brian Kelly, in Brian Kelly fashion, it seems like he always blames his players, but he doesn't ever blame himself. So,
no, it's kind of
like me. Fault. I'm like that a little bit. So,
right. It's everyone else's fault.
Everybody else. I had the team prepared. They didn't execute.
Right. Yeah, the game plan was perfect. The players just didn't.
Right.
I mean, I don't blame them. If I have a multi-million-dollar job, I'm trying to keep it.
That's exactly right. But so what? Okay, so let's we got some minutes here. Let's talk about NFL kickoff week. What are you looking forward to week 1? Who are your Giants playing? And talk to us. We always talk Browns.
Sunday night football.
That's right. Monday night against the Cowboys.
Prime time.
Cowboys.
Sunday night. Prime time, Cowboys.
Okay.
Does it get better than the opening game of the season? 8:00 at night, Giants Cowboys.
Okay, so we know the Cowboys. They have a good roster every year. They have a good roster, but it comes down to Dak screwing up in the playoffs and everything. Obviously, with the contract that they gave to Danny Dimes, you got Saquon Barkley on his 1-year basically deal. Right. Show me
Prove it
kind
deal.
of thing. Yeah. What do the Giants have to do besides start out quick and early? And do you think the season is predicated on Danny Dimes showing that he is that quarterback right away? Because if he shows up and he's slow from the start, a lot of people are like, well, why do we give all this money? Could there be locker room dissension? Why didn't Saquon get the deal instead of him? So is it big not only from just a on-field performance standpoint, but more of a locker room thing as well?
It's a little bit of both, I think. So I think you have the Danny Dimes is only good because Saquon's good conversation, which is a huge part of it. You hear it on, the 4-letter network and all those people talking about Danny Dimes needs to prove it this year. Here's the thing. Danny Dimes last year had the lowest interception rate of any quarterback in the NFL. His role is to not lose games right now. Okay. He has the playmakers. He had Saquon last year as a crutch. This year, I think they've given him weapons where he either has to jump out of his shell and be able to win games instead of not lose them, or he's going to have some trouble holding the locker room together.
Okay.
Because with Hyatt, with Waller, with Saquon, with my God, the guy from Detroit.
His name Pete. I can't.
Perriman.
Well, the guy from Detroit's good enough. That's good enough.
I'm drawing a blank, but I mean they've put receivers in front of Dimes who can stretch the field, which is supposedly his skill set.
Yeah.
Which is something they didn't have last year. Wandale is back.
Ooh, yeah.
You have Darius Slayton supposedly healthy. You have Sterling Shepard supposedly healthy. Saquon and Darren Waller. That should be a high-tier offense. And then you have Wink. Wink is your defensive coordinator.
Yep.
You have Dexter Lawrence. You have Thibodeau. Are they
Thibodeau? I've seen a lot of people talk about him as possibly a defensive player of the year kind of candidate. He could get a lot of sacks, that guy.
If he takes the jump that I hope he takes, you are talking potentially the second greatest New York Giants defensive player ever. His skill set is that good. You know who number one is.
Well, here's the thing, because I think you put Michael
Taylor is the greatest.
What about Michael Strahan as well? What about Strahan?
Oh, Strahan doesn't. Strahan's not at the level of Lawrence Taylor.
No, I agree with that.
Lawrence Taylor's the greatest football defense.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that one. But when you say top two, yeah, that's why it got me.
I think Thibodeau could be in that category. I think he could be in the Strahan conversation if he takes that jump. I think he was slow last year. He had some issues last year, but it's his second year under a new coordinator who is scheming things to make him successful. I wouldn't be surprised if he has, I think the over-under on him right now is 10.5 sacks for the year.
Oh, he's over that.
I have over. I definitely put him in the over with TJ Watt and about 8 other players.
Yeah.
Try and make some money, But I think the Giants are really kind of a giant question mark team for the whole season.
Yeah.
And this game in week 1 is a big test. Like they didn't get any reprieve. They're starting week 1 against the division rival, who is also extremely good.
Well, that's what the Browns having the Bengals at home too. The NFL said, "Hey, let's just get it on." That's
right. Oh yeah, I mean, they had enough matchups that all of them could have been primetime games.
Yeah. No, that's why the NFL is so great. That's why we love the NFL because it is.
Yeah. I just hate Thursday games. I wish they never did Thursdays. It's just annoying, but I get it. Yeah. They need to sell color rush jerseys, but
that's right. That's right. Well, I always, what I always hated is especially when I was younger was, anytime your team is not playing on Sunday, if it was a Thursday night game or Monday, and you have to wait till Monday. If your team loses, it sucks. So if your team wins, it's okay because now you can watch everybody other team. But if your team loses, it kind of ruins the week for what I'm saying a little bit.
Right. I mean, the good thing for having our game on Sunday night is I can watch Red Zone all day.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't have to care what happens other than my fantasy teams.
And also, too, Sunday night is now that, Monday, it used to be Monday night was the premier game. Sunday night's the best game of the week.
I think so, too. I think Monday nights are becoming more throwaway games than they are primetime. And I think that's just the reality of who watches games. I mean, I just don't think the viewership is there for Monday night as there is for Sunday night.
Yeah, because Sunday's perfect time. You've been watching all day anyways. You're too fat to get off your couch after watching so much football. And then you get a marquee matchup usually. And then at the end, they can flex it better than they can the Monday night games. So it makes it all better.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to flex Monday night games anyways because who wants to have a shortened week? Nobody. Right. So you might as well flex Sunday night, move somebody from 4:30 to 8:30. It doesn't matter. Or the 8:30 to 4:30, that's fine. Moving Monday and Thursday, you can't do it. It just doesn't work.
Right. Well,
but this is going to be a good season, I think. I think this NFL season, one of the perks of the NFL lately is that there's a lot of parity in the league. Yes. I mean, I don't think there's a given division champion in basically any division in the sport.
No, I would tend to agree with that. The only thing I can say is maybe, and if Purdy's healthy, which obviously he is, I think Seattle can challenge the 49ers, but I still think maybe 80% they're probably good. There are some divisions that you look at, but there's always that one team that could take them out. And to your point, I don't think you could go division by division. That's 100% they're winning that division. I don't think that's
I mean, it's not like the Patriots 5-10 years ago where you knew they were winning the AFC East no matter what.
No matter what.
Have the Bills, the Jets, the Dolphins. There's 3 competitive teams.
Well,
in the NFC East, there's the Eagles, the Cowboys, maybe the Giants. I mean, the Redskins are definitely going to be at the bottom. I don't think anyone questions that. And then the AFC North, your division.
Yeah.
I think Cincinnati's the favorite, but does Pittsburgh take the lead? Do the Baltimore Ravens actually play to their talent level? Do the Browns actually put all the pieces together finally? It's one of those things where every division has some team that's a question mark. Even the Chiefs, the AFC West, are the Chargers good enough? If they're healthy, are they good enough to challenge that title? Can Josh Jacobs and the Raiders be a contender? I mean, I don't think the Broncos are there, but I think there's always 2 to 3 teams in every division this year that could win the title.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes the NFL so fun because, like we're watching college football and it's fun when your team, like your point, you're a Syracuse fan, they win 65-0. That's fun. But then you realize, okay, you wish you could bank some of those points probably for later on during the year when you lose by 3 points. Hey, can I borrow these? Can't do that.
Right.
NFL, they're all 3 points or less anyways, these games. So a win's a win.
Yeah.
It just the wins in the NFL, from a fan's perspective, the emotional toll of a week NFL watching, especially if you're invested in your team, is so much where in college football, you can take weeks off. I mean, the Buckeyes are playing, I think, Youngstown State this week. So I'm not too concerned. I wish we would find a quarterback. But at the end of the day, even if we don't find one, we're still going to win the game.
But, it's a good week to try and find one because you have a free week, basically.
Right, exactly.
Now, to be fair, there's nothing taken for granted in college football.
Watching Colorado and things like that. Yeah, you're absolutely
your
correct.
biggest rival has one of the biggest losses in college football history.
That's right.
App State. I watched that whole game. It was one of the greatest games I've ever watched, and I don't care about Michigan.
Yeah. Well, I liked when you said it. Can you say that again? I don't care about Michigan.
I don't care about Michigan.
I'll have to clip that one up.
I won't add the other half, which is also I don't care about Ohio State. But
I'm not gonna clip that one.
Hey, I've gone to like 3 Ohio State games since I've lived in Ohio. So
okay. All right.
I will say a game at the Shoe is one of the best games I've ever been to.
Okay. Well,
Other than when SU beat Louisville when they were ranked like number 4, and the Dome had like 50 to 60,000 people in the Carrier Dome. It was one of the loudest sporting events I've ever been to.
Okay. Well, I would, like I said, Carrier Dome for life. It'll always be. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what it's called, but Carrier Dome for life. And,
it's the JMA Wireless Dome now.
No,
it sounds awful. It's the Carrier Dome. It's always going to be the Carrier Dome.
That's right. Just like
the house that Mello built, the house that Jim Brown built, the house that Ernie Davis built.
That's right. Yes. Oh, God.
For all you Browns fans.
Thank you. You're not pandering to anybody on this show right now, Drew. No,
not at all. No, never. I would never do such a thing. Why would I do that?
No. We love Drew.
I was actually, one of my buddies messaged me, I think it was a couple days ago. He was like, oh, Syracuse has a football program? And I'm like, yeah, you should know that. You're a Browns fan.
Yeah. Well,
we stopped David Tyree, one of the greatest SU alumni ever, because he stopped Tom Brady from winning another Super Bowl.
That's true. That helmet catch.
You're welcome, America.
I'm right there.
Also, next time when we're doing a show and I'm in my basement, I have an autographed David Tyree photo of the helmet catch in my basement.
Okay. Yeah. That's people might know about that one. So one thing about, and as a Giants fan, my question for you is historical fan of them. Eli Manning, underrated or overrated?
Ooh, that's tough.
I know it is.
It depends on what fan base you're talking about.
Well, just as a Giant. I'm going to say 2 Super Bowls.
I think for non-Giants fans, I think he's underrated because people don't give him credit for what he meant to the Giants organization. I mean, he was a lifetime Giant who won 2 Super Bowls. Yes, he had a 500 win percentage. Okay, he played with some pretty goddamn bad teams, right?
Yeah.
But he was always a Giant, never wavering, 100%. To Giants fans, he's probably overrated because of all the things I just said.
Yeah.
Because he was a 500, he threw a lot of interceptions. There were games that he lost for the Giants. But if there was a quarterback that you could take in the playoffs, who would you take? It'd be hard not to say Eli Manning because his playoff stats are some of the best in NFL history.
What did he go one year? Like 11 touchdowns, no intercept, something ridiculous. That one.
He has the NFL playoff record for most passing yards in a postseason.
Wow.
And that's in an era, you're talking 2007, 2008.
Yeah, they played defense actually back then, kind of. Yeah.
And they ran the ball.
Yeah.
There were actual running backs in the league.
Whoa, what are those?
Right. And so it's hard for me to say he's overrated or underrated because to me, I rate him perfectly. I think he's Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think he's on the lower tier of Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I don't think he's in the tier of Brady, Manning,
No.
Montana. He's not there. But does he earn a place in the Hall of Fame? I absolutely think so. Especially in an era where quarterbacks move from team to team for money. Eli Manning never did that. Ben Roethlisberger never did that. Philip Rivers didn't do that. He got let go by the Chargers.
You're right. That's
to
true.
go
That's
to the
true.
Colts.
Yeah.
He would have been a Charger for life if they would have let him.
Yeah.
That era's done.
Speaking of him, because of Philip Rivers, that's why in that swap and everything. I mean, you talk about Eli Manning always being a Giant. Well, he was drafted by the Chargers, and that's kind of interesting.
He's a Chargers draft pick.
Yes.
That never stepped foot in the Chargers building.
Well, hey,
but
you know what?
he played under one of the greatest coaches of all time. Right. He's a 2-time Super Bowl winner, and honestly, Philip Rivers might be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to not win a Super Bowl.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
I don't think the Giants were going to make the wrong decision in Eli Manning.
Right. If they would have kept Rivers, I still think they would have won 2 Super Bowls probably. Yeah.
I think they were both. I mean, that quarterback class has to be one of the greatest quarterback classes in NFL history.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Roethlisberger fell in that draft.
Yeah.
That's the one where they kept zooming in on him not getting picked, right?
Well, unfortunately, he went to the Steelers, and as a Browns fan, I mean, he just continually beat us every single year. Jeez.
Right, but I mean, you have Rivers, Manning, Roethlisberger, three basically one franchise players who are probably all set for the Hall of Fame. I think they all deserve it.
I agree. I would
Rivers.
Agree
Rivers is the furthest. He's the third out of 3 because of the lack of Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But I think they all deserve it.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. They will all be enshrined in Canton, Ohio. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So we hit on that. A couple more things before we go. I don't know. Is there anything that you want to hit on? Anything you want to say before our time is up? Because, I always like to give it up, to our co-host. And Drew, you're one of my guys. So you got something to say? Hey, this is the time to say it.
Ed, I'm curious where you think the AF or the AL Central race is going to end up. Where do you think it's going to end up?
Well, I broke it in my Breakhead News that it's the final month. Somebody's got to win it so they can get swept in the first round. But I will say one thing. Twins and Guardians are playing in a 3-game series. It's 5 games that separate them now. It's just unfortunate because the Guardians are finally getting hot. Of course, the Twins have to get hot too. So it's like
that's the way it works.
Yeah. So I think the Twins, honestly.
Who do you actually think walks away? The Twins?
Twins. At this point, I'd have to say that. Yeah, I would have to say that.
I mean, so I'll say our prediction at the beginning of the season, going back months now, was whoever wins the AL Central is the only team who's going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
We were spot on.
Oh, yeah.
That it was going to be a bunch of mediocre teams fighting for one playoff spot.
And that's what it's, I don't even call it. It's probably been worse than mediocre teams fighting for one playoff spot.
Hey, what's Naylor's batting average?
It's 219. I looked at it before that. He's batting over his weight of 205.
He's
so
over
take
his
that,
weight.
Casey.
All right. Okay. All right. I just wanted to see where the weight versus it's like the touchdown passes for. Does Russell Wilson have more bathrooms or touchdown passes?
Oh yeah, right.
I'm kind of there with the Naylor weight versus batting average conversation because that's basically the only exciting part of this baseball season for me.
Fair enough, but he is so take that, Casey. Take that. I've been a Bo Naylor, proud Bo Naylor sponsor and guy that's rooting for him. So I think the Guardians. It's like I said, they're heating up. Their pitching's really good. They got Giolito pitching tonight. They've made moves. Maybe this is Terry Francona's last hurrah, so they're going to try to set him out on a good note. But maybe it's
the question is it too little, too late?
Yeah, I think that's kind of.
I think it is. I think it's too little, too late. But
I think you're right.
It's nice to see them trying because I've seen enough teams that are like, we're on the cusp. Screw it. There's always next year. At least they're putting in a little bit of effort to make moves to make themselves competitive.
I mean, they only had like the trade deadline like a month ago.
Right, but there's games left. They made some moves. They have a series against the Twins.
They better bring the brooms out.
If they sweep the Twins,
It's on.
Maybe.
Well, that's
even
why
if
we'll
they
be
sweep the Twins. They still need some help. But
help. Yeah. Well, that's why we come back every week, Mondays at 5:30, and we'll update this talk next Monday at 5:30. But
right.
Drew, before we let ourselves go, I should say, because it's just me and you running the asylum right here. So when's dinner? How's it looking tonight? What's smoking going on?
Hey, I got a pork shoulder going right now. Gonna do some pulled pork. I've got wings in the oven right now. I smoked them and then I'm finishing them off in the oven. Got a few different sauces for them. And so pulled pork and wings for dinner. Fired up. Got a couple adult beverages to go along with it. Had myself a cigar about an hour and a half ago. So we're enjoying Labor Day. You know, us hardworking public employees need to
enjoying the fruits of your labor.
That's right. So
nice.
What about Ed? What's Ed in Columbus having?
Well, honestly, I don't know. I got 3 bulging discs in my back. I'm in so much pain right now. I want to cry, but that's indicative of being a Cleveland sports fan as well. So I don't know if they would be able to tell the difference here, but I don't actually know. I think probably some pain pills for dinner. That was some Mountain Dew. We'll see where that goes.
Some adult
trying to mix in a morsel of food.
They usually help.
Yeah, there you go.
A little bourbon helps from back pain. Trust me.
Yeah.
Basically, every time I play softball, I need something to get rid of the back pain.
Maybe just a fifth of bourbon. Just drink the whole bottle and be done with it.
Why not? I mean, it's Labor Day.
Yeah, no, why? It worked for Bob Uecker in Major League, so when he's
it did. Well, and it worked for CC Sabathia for his career. Is it too soon? Is it too soon for that?
It was, you know what, Drew, it's never not funny, and we appreciate the humor on the We Like Sports show. But I think on that note, on that great funny joke right there, we'll leave it at that. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Happy Labor Day to everybody. I want to say enjoy sports, enjoy your team. Got week 1 of the NFL coming up. College football's here. Baseball pennant races are heating up. This is a great time to be alive, to love sports. We like sports. We hope you like sports. We hope you like your team. And happy Labor Day to everybody. And peace out. We will see you next Monday at 5:30. And Drew, give them a goodbye. And we're off till then.
Absolutely. Have a good Labor Day. And thanks, Ed, for always hosting the best show on the internet.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Happy Labor Day, everybody. And God bless. Peace.